Sociopath and Narcissist, The Dangerous Mindset of Those Who Lack Empathy and Self-Absorption. Written by Bentley Madron, published by Audiobook Nexus.
Congratulations and thank you for buying Sociopath and Narcissist. The chapters that follow will go through psychopaths, sociopaths, and narcissists are three types of people. The book will attempt to explain who they are, their character qualities, how the character traits emerge in various settings, how a person may cope with them despite the nature of their connection with such persons, and, most importantly, how to break away from poison. How to break away from poison, U.S. relationships with them. Psychopaths, sociopaths, and narcissists have long been misunderstood by those around them or with whom they interact, causing them to assume that when sociopaths, sociopaths, and narcissists make errors, they are always in the wrong. A small number of people have low self-esteem and self-worth because they have gotten used to being manipulated by psychopaths, sociopaths, and narcissists. Though this occurs in many facets of life, persons who are in romantic relationships with people who exhibit these personality qualities are the most impacted. However, you may come across them at work, and they may make your office life terrible, particularly if they are your superiors or managers. Because of this, it is important to know who these people are and how they manage to influence other people without making them suspicious. This is the only way to avoid falling for their traps or being entangled in their ruses. This book walks you through the three character traits and provides helpful advice on how to go on to healing and free yourself of the manipulation. The first step toward healing is recognizing and understanding that you are in a relationship with a psychopath, a sociopath, or a narcissist. You must then continue the healing process by using the methods mentioned here, and, if required, seek professional assistance. It should be noted that the knowledge in this book is useful whether or not you are in a controlling relationship. You may assist a sibling, or friend who is in a toxic relationship with a psychopath, sociopath, or narcissist. There are many books on this topic available. Thank you for selecting this one. Every effort has been taken to ensure that it contains as much relevant information as possible. Please enjoy it. Travel within psychopathic, sociopathic, and narcissistic minds. Who are they and what are their character traits? People in today's society often use the terms psychopath, sociopath, and narcissist interchangeably. They all agree in the sense that they are social diseases, but they vary greatly in the character qualities shown by people with each of them. Narcissism may take numerous forms, ranging from a healthy ego to excessive pathological grandiosity. Narcissists depict characteristics such as dominance. In each interaction, they strive to outshine everyone by talking about themselves and embellishing what they have done. They desire to be the center of attention in every discussion or social event. Typically, they will invent tales in order to seem like the perfect individuals in the world. They often believe that their capacity to exaggerate helps them to be better at storytelling. But the reality is that they are attempting to seem better than they are, and this distracts them from the fact that they have an underlying fear of never feeling good enough. Narcissists are also known to provide unsolicited advice. They may seem to be truly assisting others by providing parenting advice or instruction, but their true motivation is to look better than others. Typically, they will portray themselves as having inside knowledge of pretty much anything you dare to question. They are more sophisticated than everyone else. This significantly boosts their egos. They have the impression that the world owes them and that they are entitled to anything they want. This makes narcissists extremely irritable when they have to wait in line for anything. They want prompt responses to their demands because they feel they are so essential, and they assume that the world revolves around them and that everything and everyone else must come to a halt in order to give them the attention they crave. Their objectives pale in comparison to the ambitions of the average individual. As a general guideline, everyone should aspire toward what they want in life and then work toward it. Narcissists feel that their inevitable result is grandeur, not just that they have to strive. They believe in their specialization and think that they deserve nothing in less than the finest that the world has to offer. Their dreams are frequently made up of what the future owes them: more power, more beauty, and more recognition. They are eager to target people of greater status in their organizations. They make their own private groups of people they should hang out with, and they keep their attention on all the right things and symbols. In most circumstances, if you do not belong in their mental club in terms of prestige, they will disregard or insult you. Narcissists are very attractive. They will make you feel as though the sun is rotating around you when you first meet them. They know just what to say. When they ask you out on a date, it happens so quickly that you'll be left wondering when it all occurred. When you wake up after your fast journey down the love highway, you find yourself in a hot shower of love and devotion. Who doesn't desire this life? You fall for it and sign the love contract without reading the back pages, which include the terms and conditions that apply to your new partnership. In truth, your half of the contract is as crucial in that relationship. But what you never read is that you are needed to make your narcissistic spouse feel equally loved and desirable. This doesn't show real respect. It means ignoring their flaws and putting them on a pedestal, never questioning their moves or criticizing them. This makes them feel significant, which is something they truly desire. Narcissists are fierce competitors. There are times when robust competition is essential. In a sport, for example, you must be competitive and keep in mind during the game that your goal is to win. However, your goal does not eliminate the possibility that you may lose the game. As life goes on, we either win or lose. Failure, on the other hand, is not a feeling that is easily accepted in a narcissistic society. They must win at any cost, from a random stranger to a family member or loved one. Win. Ning helps them advance their dominance and projected self-importance. As a consequence, a narcissist finds it difficult to rejoice in the successes of others. If someone else wins instead of them, they should feel jealous rather than applaud others. Narcissists are masters at keeping grudges because of the false confidence and trust in themselves that they project. You could believe that they are typically unaffected by what other people say or think about them. This is not the case. Because they have an insatiable need to be flawless, they frequently take criticism, disapproval, or insults personally. Even being called out for something they've done seems like a personal assault to them, and it often damages their ego, which they fight tirelessly to inflate. They will detest you for life if you do not give them the attention they need. Indeed, narcissists are wonderful people. They never do anything wrong, and if you are in a relationship with them, you are always the one to blame or the catalyst for why they did anything wrong. They never accept responsibility, and it is always someone or something else's fault. This is partly because they never lose anything, and whatever it costs them, they are typically prepared to pay the price. It is also influenced by their self-esteem as incapable of making a mistake. They are manipulative in some manner, and they frequently take advantage of others. Psychologists contend that their behaviors are frequently inadvertent. They are motivated to take advantage of others because they weigh everything according to their particular views. They never enter other people's emotional doors. They, ironically, want the same level of attention from them that they never provide to others. On their path to making it all about them, they are fearless of bullying and manipulating those who get in their way. Most narcissists have an addiction. As the world has it, you cannot always get what you desire. Yet there are moments when the universe will not yield to you. Because they can't endure this type of rejection, they turn to addiction. They would do anything to feel on top of the world, a sensation that is primarily experienced when one is high on anything, whether it is shopping or drug addiction. If they have a drug to turn to, they can barely make it past when the drug wears off because being sober makes them feel bad, and the shame they feel makes them want to use it again. Sociopaths are people who have been diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder. They share many similarities with narcissists, but their disease is much more harmful. The sociopath gets their kicks from harming others, hence their acts are usually deliberate. In most circumstances, a sociopath will have you talking about yourself while never saying anything about themselves. Because of their deceptive nature, they want as much knowledge about you as possible to assist them to navigate their strategy. When they become close to you, they always have a strategy to gain something from you, whether it's robbing you or scamming you. We provide vulnerabilities for them to exploit as you continue to inform them about yourself. When you're talking with a sociopath, they'll often bring up issues that they know you'll be interested in. Unlike a narcissist, who constantly tries to look like a decent person, a sociopath may hide and appear as they need to be regarded in their ultimate strategy. For example, if they say they will return your stolen car, they will try to convince you in any way they can that they are smart enough to walk through the dark streets and get the car. If what they want to achieve requires them to put on a nice front, they will. For example, if they need to present an empty concept to an investor, they might come across as aggressive and assured of what they want to achieve. A sociopath disregards social norms. They will break and violate them to get through a certain moment when the demand is met. A sociopath knows that he is very different from people who have empathy, but he or she is never willing or ready to change because their lack of empathy lets them get away with problems and control other people without feeling bad about it. A psychopath is patient when playing a longer game that they will eventually win. They spend time thinking and formulating clever ideas. They are insufferable to everyone who comes in their way, and they will most likely drag you down or out. In general, they strive to accomplish the bare minimum in order to have anything they want. They are not hard workers. They are often seeking a quicker way to their objectives that will not demand a lot of work. Psychopaths are similar to the previously stated disorder. They have egotistical tendencies and are emotionally superficial. What makes psychopaths more dangerous than sociopaths is our inability to spot them early on. They're active. Idiots are often seamless and controversial. They won't let you know what they're up to behind your back. For example, if someone uses your credit card, they may do it over time before you notice. They will say all the things that your itchy ears want to hear, do all the proper things, and perform all the appropriate dance movements lest they tread on your toes. Psychopaths excel at gaining people's confidence. They will not respond in an emotional scene that would normally need a response. They can manage how they feel and how much their feelings appear. Furthermore, psychopaths will not create gaps that cause others to wonder. They are, nevertheless, enigmatic. It's difficult to comprehend their methods and why they do things the way they do. A more typical aspect is that they do not have childhood buddies and are always surrounded by new acquaintances. This should not be confused with being adept at social interaction. It is always due to their frequent burning of bridges. Once they have accomplished their goals, they move on beyond the targets of their manipulation, destroying any prospective relationship that they may have maintained. How learning to know them helps you defend yourself. Understanding narcissists, psychopaths, and sociopaths extend beyond how most media portrays them as being official to your security. You can easily protect yourself if you learn to recognize them. Simply put, an end to that connection or friendship. You will find the courage to go on when you recognize that these individuals cannot change. Many individuals are engulfed in the foolish idealism of constantly expecting that these people will change and become better people eventually. They keep giving up things for them and putting up with abuse and manipulation without getting anything in return. Do not be concerned about someone who does not believe they need assistance in the first place. To make matters worse, some of them like hurting and taking advantage of others, so there isn't much you can do to alter them. With this in mind, you will end a relationship and walk away at the first hint of any of these diseases. This will save you a lot of time, and it will spare your soul from being stomped on. Pushing them away may be a possibility if your contact is on an interpersonal level, but pushing them away at work may be difficult. All you have to do is avoid them if possible, and forbid any informal contact outside of work. Learning how these people operate permits you to pay closer attention to their activities. Most people who fall for these people can tell something is off about how they act, but their words make them blind to this. In the case of narcissists and psychopaths, monitoring their behavior, IRs would save you a lot of time since they have a way of making people feel like they are on top of the world by uttering all the correct things. It's important to take the time to figure out what kind of conversations you have with a sociopath. It doesn't take long to see that they almost never provide thorough responses. Because their words are typically hollow and lack empathy or sincerity, their actions often emerge sooner. Observing their activities will assist you in detecting inconsistencies between their statements and deeds. Understanding how they operate helps you strengthen your connections and your reputation. People in the workplace often want to seem to be the best in everyone's eyes, and they will go to any length to do so, even if it means damaging other people's reputations. They will first use their charm to persuade those in upper management, or they may even bribe them to defend them when concerns about their unhealthy conduct. And Dubai, U.S. work ethics are raised. With this level of protection at their disposal, they go ahead and manipulate targets inside the workplace. When you are aware of the method that they use, you will devote your time to completing what is required of you at work without grumbling. You will guarantee that you grow your portfolio and make important contacts inside your workplace that will help you if a war is declared against you. You will make sure that your actions speak for you, which is a good enough defense. Make sure you can't be criticized in any way. Maintaining lifetime ties and having a network of trustworthy friends and confidants is vital to gaining a more objective perspective if the relationship with these individuals is personal. When you're in a relationship, it might be difficult to detect any red flags, and even if you do, you may be hesitant to act in the name of love. When you have formed a community around you and enabled them to speak about your issue, they will come to your rescue in your hour of need. Knowing that they are very aggressive in a talk or discussion can help you devise strategies for working with them while keeping their ruthlessness under control. Creating a win scenario might be one of the most efficient methods of doing this. If you are competitive, you will not get along with these people. So, you can protect yourself from their aggressive behavior by coming up with solutions that help them succeed while staying true to your values. You establish and maintain limits. Most people who have been deceived by these people were once aware of their own limits. They slowly made it possible for people to move the border or move to a place that worked better for them. They also provide individuals the freedom to evaluate and reject their ideals. They had no idea that these folks were not sincerely concerned about them, but were instead attempting to influence them. When you understand how these individuals work, you can better create boundaries and maintain your ground when they are threatened. You'll realize that no matter how much you compromise your own principles, you'll never be enough for these people, and they'll never be satisfied enough with you. The limits you establish will aid you in protecting yourself from possible exploitation. Something fundamental that you will need to remind yourself of as a shield is that you may say no without having to justify yourself, and you are under no duty to rethink your choice. Another thing to keep in mind while a stab leashing limits is that whatever gap you leave allows for some inquiry and probing. So if you want to be absolutely safe, make sure your boundaries are well defined and obvious to anybody who wants to have a closer look at your life. Knowing that these individuals live in a perfect world, are wonderful in your eyes, and never accept responsibility for their acts can help you be more generous to yourself. When you challenge their methods, they often either explode or blame you. You will find yourself doubting many things about yourself since they will continue to reflect their errors on you, making you feel uncertain about yourself. They will make it seem as though your habit of overanalyzing everything is the source of your relationship problems. You won't waste your time trying to change who you are to please them if you know they thrive on winning even when they are wrong. Furthermore, you will defend yourself and seek justice when necessary without feeling victimized or guilty for something you did not commit. Knowing that they rely heavily on guilt, tripping, and sympathy. Seeking can also assist you to avoid falling into their trap in the future. These folks are constantly looking to be the ones that win. If a relationship is ending, they must be the ones who leave first, not the ones who are left. If you catch them being manipulative and ending the relationship, they will probably try to make you feel bad about it. If you don't know how they work, you'll blame yourself and get back together, and you might even agree with them that you're treating them unfairly. When you are in the know, though, you will most likely not care what they say after you have ended the connection. Another technique to protect yourself from understand. And how people with antisocial personality disorder is to call for assistance. There are individuals who have repeatedly sought to end their connection with these people, but every time they do, they are threatened. The individual either pledges to damage himself via acts such as suicide. When confronted with such threats, it is critical to contact emergency services only if you feel they are capable of delivering the damage they are threatening. On the other hand, if such threats are just intended to keep you in the relationship for a longer period of time, you may stand firm and call them out for attempting to manipulate you. Also, knowing that these people are likely to return after a breakup, either seeking revenge or to continue obtaining something from you, will assist you in making protective decisions such as deleting their contacts after the breakup, moving locations, and cutting any form of connection that you may have with them. It will also assist you in determining what is best for your general emotional well-being as you work to heal from a violent relationship. How a psychopath is identified. With all of the movies and TV programs we've seen, we may have come to believe that a psychopath can only be detected by their capacity to murder someone. While we cannot deny that they may be destructive to such an extent, if all we seek are their suggestions to kill us, we may fail to notice that we are living with them in our homes or working with them every day, because they are not all criminals, serial murderers, or thieves. Some of them are successful business leaders, entrepreneurs, and career people. They are charming and witty. When you initially talk to somebody, you will almost never detect their personal ID. They tell fascinating tales about everything. They are outstanding wordsmiths. They will never miss a phrase, a term, or anything else that would expose them. They will not come off as needy or empty in the initial interactions. Their capacity to say what has to be said at a certain time and place might be misinterpreted as a high degree of practical and emotional intelligence. Regardless of how inflated their tales are, they are generally plausible. They are constantly concerned with making a good first impression because they want to be seen positively by everyone. Initially, all they do is lay the groundwork for gaining people's confidence. Flattery and continuous flattery are common components of psychopaths' interactions. You part ways immediately after the first chat and you feel this surge of wonderful energy inside of you. Talks, in your delusion, can never be any better than this. Psychopaths are frequently oblivious to other people's emotions. They seldom consider how other people feel, especially their own family members. To make matters worse, if you contact them to address an infraction they committed that wounded your emotions, they will dismiss the problem as unimportant. They often blame you for their acts and build a scenario in which they claim that if it hadn't been for you, provoking them into action, they would not have injured you in the first place. They will never accept responsibility for their mistakes, nor will they ever apologize for them. Their lack of conscience causes them to go to extremes in order to get ahead or get whatever they want. In severe circumstances, they will argue that someone has caused them too much anguish to warrant such treatment. They will lie, hurt other people, and do other bad things without their heart rate going up. Psychopaths are frequently aware of the feelings of others. They have adequate head knowledge and devote their time to studying someone and their response. The insight they receive from someone serves as a solid foundation for influencing others. Flattery and guilt. Tripping are their main tools for convincing others to cross their personal boundaries and do things for them that they would not do in normal circumstances. They often present themselves as victims, unlike narcissists, who would never show vulnerability in anything. Psychopaths will go to any length to gain compassion from those they prey on. When you show even a little bit of concern or care, they will use their sneaky tricks to lure you into their trap, where you will be used and manipulated until you find a way to get away from them. Psychopaths have a distorted view of their own values. Psychopaths, like their narcissistic counterparts, live in ideals. They build a perfect universe for themselves, in which natural laws do not apply and no one else governs but them. They believe that the world owes them nothing but the finest. They are constantly fantasizing about greater and larger things. But the frustrating part is that they never take the time to think about how they will reach their goals, because they think they are special. They think that if they just show up, they will be able to get what they want, no matter what stands in their way. They believe they are superior and more worthy than others. Furthermore, they will commit crimes and break the law because they feel they are intelligent enough to get away with anything, and the rules that apply to ordinary men have no influence on them. Psychopaths are masters of disorder. They will do an act that would naturally enrage anybody, then sit back and appear astonished that you are genuinely outraged. Have you ever met someone who willingly pushes you to the corner to watch how you respond and then dismisses you as being oversensitive when you attempt to seek justice? You should take a closer look at them since they may be psychotic. In the job, if they need to undermine your credibility and turn everyone against you, they will use this devious but successful method, and you will soon find yourself alone in an office where you previously had pals. If you are in a romantic connection with them, they will often pull your triggers to massage their egos while rejecting you and declining an opportunity to speak about what they have done to you. In other circumstances, they will utilize it as a plan to create something that will pique the interest of their prospective partners. Psychopaths often tell stupid lies. Have you ever met someone who would prefer to lie even though the truth is better and has no negative consequences? Yes, it is quite strange and difficult to comprehend why somebody would do such a thing. The psychopath has made it a practice of giving a fabricated version of the narrative, making speaking the truth difficult for them to break. You may have proof that they have been lying to you at times, but when you challenge it, they will reject you. Worse, they will cause you to come across as paranoid or too analytical. They never pause to consider the ramifications of their actions. When you're in a relation, ship with them, they'll depict you as the most wonderful person they've ever met in the whole world. They will make fun of their ex-partners and other individuals from their past only to make you happy. You will fall into the delusion that you have a mutual connection that is impenetrable by heat. They're gone before you realize it, and they've moved on to the next person. You'll discover afterward that whatever you two had nothing to do with love on their end. It was just acting, a talent that they've honed over time and that they can depict any day, any place, to anybody. They'll be sharing something you thought was exclusively created for you with someone else in no time. They will portray you as the worst person under the sun to their next catch, and the cycle of love will continue. Psychopaths have a habit of continually making you doubt yourself. After a short time with them, your mind and emotions will begin to seek ways to recon. Kyle, the person you first met, who was wonderful, calm, passionate, and alluring, with the person you begin to experience who is abusive, always lying, careless, and manipulative. In your hunt for answers, you will begin to wonder whether you are being too critical. In addition, in order to avoid your inspection, your psychotic spouse will make you question yourself. Even if they are clearly in the wrong for lying or stealing from you, they will make you feel that there is something wrong with you for seeing anything wrong with them. Psychopaths like inflicting suffering on others. It's not that they're clueless that their acts are bringing misery to others. Unlike narcissists, who may be unconscious of other people's feelings, psychopaths know what would harm others, yet they do it nonetheless, with no remorse. The only time they'll apologize is if they need you back for a task they haven't completed yet. If they believe that what they sought from you has not yet been obtained, they will give short apologies in order to re-establish good relations with you. If they're done exploiting you and ready to move on, they'll hurt you to the core and go without ever express. And sorry. How a sociopath is identified? Sociopathy is a mental condition characterized by a lengthy history of wrongdoing. People often use it the same way they use the word psychopathy, which is wrong because the two words mean very different things. In order to recognize a sociopath, there are certain apparent features to look for. The most notable is their inability to sympathize with others. Worse, they have no guilt for the things they do to other people. They lack the conscience that would prompt a normal person to apologize for what they have done or the inner voice that would advise them to pause and ponder the repercussions, scions of their actions before acting. Their inability to feel empathy makes them very dangerous since they can do anything. Their actions might seem harmless, like hurting the feelings of people they say they love, but they could also kill or lie to their targets. When anything threatens their strategy, they will either cut it off or take it down, even if it is a coworker. Sociopaths have a string of bad relationships that last just a few months. They rarely make an effort to form emotional bonds with anyone. They only want to stay in a relationship as long as it benefits them, and their partners are easy to fool. Also, since these individuals live on hurting others, they will not stay in that relationship, particularly if it becomes clear to them that their partner would be on the losing end in the event of a split when they are in a relationship. They often have conflicts with their partners, as well as emotional abuse and explanations for their conduct. Nothing is too far for them, and there are no limits. For example, they will cheat in a relationship and, rather than apologizing, will always have an explanation for their conduct. Exploitation is a fundamental component of their relationships. They are always seeking ways to exploit the other person to their advantage. They often pressure their spouses into doing what they desire and believe would benefit them. They seldom discuss the sociopath in their relationship. Every conversation with sociopaths is geared toward their spouses. They are scared to speak about themselves. mainly because they believe their personal experiences are too damaged to be heard by the rest of the world. This is often due to the fact that the majority of them have a shattered past or a turbulent upbringing. These past events have left them with a deep sadness that they don't want to let anyone see, because if they do, the pain and shame of their youth will wash over them like waves in the ocean. They often have their partners talk about themselves, and they ask them questions, not for the sake of understanding them, but to discover holes to influence them. They often have a sixth sense that detects and exploits a vulnerability. They will pick up on areas in your talks where you exhibit weakness, and before you realize it, the same thing will be used against you. When you ask them about themselves, they often cut their answers down to a brief but immensely ambiguous statement. They don't want to seem disinterested in the discussion, so they'll offer you an answer that makes you believe you know something about them when, in reality, you don't. Serial liars are sociopaths. The reality isn't always kind to their intentions and deeds. So, in many circumstances, people will tell a lie in order to get away with something, or to get access to something. Whether they have to fabricate a childhood they never had or lie about a relationship they do not have, but pretend to have, they will do it with ease, because they will never feel guilty for what their lies may cost the other person. They are often callous, which may vary from being aggressive and wanting to start a fight with anybody at any time, anywhere, to being verbally abusive. They have no limits to how far they will go, and they have no regard for other people's boundaries. They must protect their idea at all costs, regardless of what it will cost anyone else. Because they don't care about other people's feelings, they are willing to do anything to get what they want. In addition to their blatant hatred, they often misinterpret other people's innocent behaviors as an expression of hatred toward them. As a result, in most circumstances, you will find them attempting to exact retribution. Sociopaths are often reckless. In most circumstances, they will aim to reduce the amount of effort required for them to make a given amount of money. They are always coming up with methods to accomplish less. Their idleness often pushes individuals to manipulate others, such as their spouses and family members, by taking money from them, for example. In other circumstances, they will not pay their utility bills on time, and this will let them to build up since they are constantly seeking ways to escape any responsibility. When it comes to child support, you should have a backup plan in place for your children, should they go without even the most basic necessities while waiting for their psychopathic parents to make remittances. When it comes to their civic duties, these people always try to avoid them and break laws and rules whenever they can. They never want to feel as though anybody is dominating them, and obeying the law is a type of control that they will not willingly accept. The majority of the time, a sociopath will leave their employment. They take a lot of time off, manipulate and mistreat people at work, and participate in a lot of reckless conduct, which causes them to lose every job they apply for. In severe circumstances, sociopaths are unwilling to seek work if they are unemployed. This raises their risk of becoming hazardous to others around them since, whether they work or not, they must pay their expenses and take care of themselves. A sociopath has difficulties formulating and adhering to plans. Their lack of discipline is one of the root causes of this kind of conduct. As a consequence, they often make impulsive judgments. This might be seen from the standpoint of being spontaneous, which we all want at times. However, if you take a deeper look at their lives via an association, you will see that impulsive decisions are a part of their daily lives. They want to do what gives them pleasure and enjoyment now, regardless of the long-term consequences of their actions. Their recklessness, along with their impulsive inclinations, creates a lot of harmful conduct. Sociopaths often have little regard for their own security as well as the security of others. As a consequence, you will discover them participating in promiscuous sex, drug, and substance addiction, criminal activities, and other behaviors that may endanger people's safety. Sociopaths have difficulty sustaining friendships. Who wants a friend who will go to any length to exploit you and who will not invest a single speck of emotion or connection in their friendship? No one. I'm sure. When individuals glimpse the light, they pack their belongings and go, leaving no friends behind. But the fact that they don't have any important link doesn't stop them from living their lives. They are always on the search for fresh pastures to graze their ravenous souls. Most of the time, they will have someone they are attempting to follow down the road and into their horrible trap. This pick and drop activity makes people feel better about themselves and soothes their bruised egos. Another feature that makes it difficult for sociopaths to maintain friendships is their inability to manage their emotions. They erupt at the smallest of triggers and can do a lot of harm, much more than you would think a little object could do. Sociopaths are usually hooked on something. This might vary from something as appealing as regular shopping to something as damaging as drugs and other substances. Their addiction is typically triggered by the fact that they live recklessly and also because they have a lot of grief within them that they are never prepared to confront. Anything else acts as an excellent diversion from whatever is going on within. How a narcissist identifies himself? Narcissism should not be confused with self-esteem, self-awareness, or self-assurance. It is a condition that arises from a deep well of insecurity that is built up over time, most often during one's whole life. It can be caused by many things, like being left alone as a child or growing up in a violent family. A narcissist may be distinguished by a wide variety of characteristics. They are too self-centered. This is evident in the nature of their interaction with you. They always prioritize their requirements, and there is never a second thought for them. Once their wants are met, that is it. The transact tie-in is done. They believe that the world and everyone in it owes them something, and as a consequence, they don't care who meets their demands as long as they are satisfied. They do not like deferring a desire or having to wait in line for an extended period of time. They believe that their sheer presence should bring all procedures and everything else to a halt and draw their attention. They thrive on having power. If you fall in love with them, you will relax your guard, and before you realize it, you will have no morals or boundaries to identify where other people end and you begin. They are drawn to authority, and being in a position to govern over others feeds their ego. In most situations, they fall in love with codependents since they are the only individuals who can exactly match them and satisfy their requirements. Codependents often give up control easily, and they are typically eager to go to any length to maintain others, liking and respecting them. The main concern in these sorts of relationships is that the codependent spouse frequently feels exploited after a short period of making sacrifices since their feelings are never returned. Narcissists avoid confrontation and never tackle any situation that they encounter. They frequently build a perfect environment around themselves. They see themselves as ideal beings, and any danger to this illusion is always welcomed. Because they avoid dealing with difficulties, the majority of them are hooked to anything that provides them a high and momentarily removes them from the actual world, particularly if the real world threatens them with humiliation. They can't bear being sober after they're off the drug because of the realities that come with it. In such a situation, they return to the substance, creating a vicious cycle of addiction. Furthermore, their failure to accept imperfections in their reality causes them to get defensive when called out for something they have done. They take criticism personally and may hold a grudge as a result. Narcissists seek every chance to be the sun, to cast a light on everything, and to be surrounded by everything else in the cosmos, whether it's offering advice on any issue, being the light of the party, or playing the role of everyone's favorite. They rarely let other people join in on a conversation, and they always find a way to make it about them. You could mistake them for outstanding storytellers because of their propensity to inflate a little event into a major one. They make their accomplish. Men seem to be unattainable by anybody other than a superhero. All of this is frequently done to conceal the agonizing internal monster that never stops howling. They are not good enough. There is a significant difference between an industrious person and someone who believes that the world owes them nothing. Narcissists think that they were created from the beginning of time to be great, powerful, and everyone's ideal. They are willing to work as hard as it takes to get their stars to line up. They also have their own set of folks to whom they may easily connect. People who have accomplished a lot in their careers, reputations, and finances. They are continuously trying to improve their image. From the people they hang out with to the goods they buy, they aim to project a specific image to everyone who comes into contact with them. Those who deserve the best deserve it not just in terms of their objectives, but also in terms of their love relationships. They trust in their charisma and ability to fool everyone into dating them. They certainly do not do these things slowly, since they do not believe in waiting. They understand when to say what and how to express it. Who wouldn't desire such enchantment? No one, I'm sure. They never reveal the whole arrangement of the connection. They will never tell you what they demand in return right away. One thing is certain, unless you are a narcissist, when you are offered love, you will positively respond and begin to give it in return. When you begin to show them love, they will begin to retreat. And before you know it, bang! You are in an unbalanced relationship. Narcissists believe they are winners, partly due to their notion that they are chosen for better things than everyone else, and partly due to their ego's inability to accept defeat. Narcissists will search for opportunities to show that they are superior to everyone else in circumstances that demand but do not require your competitive abilities. They will compete against their own family members, burrs as well as strangers, without regard for what they are doing. They are jealous of other people's accomplishments because of their attitude toward losing and their entitlement to winning. If you have never met a narcissist or had any contact with one, you can be certain that this is not something you want on your wish list. You want to be secure in your messy environment, where people admit their flaws, confess their wrongdoings, and work to repair connections. Have you ever encountered someone who never makes a mistake, or who, when they do, is always provoked by something or someone? This is characteristic of narcissists. Their need to seem ideal in front of everyone makes it difficult for them to confess their mistakes. Apologizing to them is not a good idea, since it may make them seem weaker, less strong, and out of control. They are always on the lookout for what caused them to act in a specific manner, and how you, the target of their wrongdoings, contributed to their bad behavior. They have perfected the skill of projecting their shortcomings onto others while preserving the image of a pristine world. Every circumstance is seen through the prism of what it means for them and how it affects them by narcissists. They are unable to assist others if the consequence of their assistance does not benefit them. They have a fundamental incapacity to demonstrate empathy. Because they value themselves above everything else, they will take advantage of others and participate in manipulative conduct in order to get their way. If you happen to run across them, you can't help but appreciate them. They like being shown that they are exceptional and being treated as such. They are likely to treat you poorly if you do not meet their criteria for a buddy or do not fall into their trap. Narcissists have a cyclical pattern of disastrous relationships. Because of their incessant manipulation, they are unable to maintain long-term relationships or friendships. They constantly migrate from one relationship to another if the current one does not sufficiently nurture their ego. Their spouses, on the other hand, will not stay for long, particularly if the affection is removed. The narcissist is unable to see things from another person's point of view. As a result, they often get into arguments in which they constantly want to win. Have you ever encountered folks who keep grudges over little matters for such a long time? If they answered yes, they are most likely on the narcissistic spectrum. Anyone who threatens to deflate their ego or embarrass them will be hated for the rest of their lives. They insist that if you want to befriend them, you need to tread cautiously around them. One, because they feel they are exceptional, and two, because their ego is too delicate to be crushed by any casual footstep. Because narcissists feel they are perfectly normal individuals, it is impossible to see them seeking professional treatment. How people with antisocial personality disorder relate in love. People who have antisocial personality disorder are more likely to fall in love. Many people have had romantic relationships with these people in the past. Pain, regret, and heartbreak have been recurrent themes in the experiences of individuals who have ventured to share them. Because of this area of psychology has gotten a lot of attention in recent years from people who want to know if these people can fall in love. The answer here is heavily influenced by your concept of love. If love is just being in a romantic relationship, then certainly these individuals are capable of it. If you mean sacrificial, unconditional love when two individuals make sacrifices for each other, then the answer is no. These people are not capable of it. You will notice certain behavioral peculiarities in a regular individual if you happen to fall in love with them, since their conduct does not always suggest that they are not pleasant. They have no empathy. We all have down moments, and sometimes life strikes us harder than we thought. When you are in love, you would expect your spouse to be there for you at such times and to guide you through your darkest night. For example, if you lose your job and are left feeling lost and bewildered, and you sometimes need a shoulder to weep on, they will not provide you with a safe environment to do so. They are unlikely to give the matter the weight it deserves, and they may reject you as being too sensitive about little concerns. Worse still, when they mislead you. In a typical relationship, you will discover that individuals are not flawless. Yes, we all make errors. But what keeps the flame of love alive is each person's capacity to recognize when they are wrong, give real apologies, and amend their ways. This is not something you will experience while working with someone who has an antisocial personality disorder. Their failure to empathize prevents them from apologizing or accepting responsibility for their acts. They will always find a way to create a web of links between their harsh deeds and your behaviors, personality, or even words in order to blame you for what they have done. They will blame you for anything they did. Pointing fingers help them retain the idea that they are flawless beings, capable of doing anything wrong. Furthermore, they will either tell a falsehood to cover up their acts, even if it is as obvious as the noonday light, or they will provide an explanation or justification for it. For example, if you live with them and they don't return home for a week, they will either dismiss it as none of your business, which is certainly your business, or they will lie about a business trip that they hadn't informed you about previous to their disappearance. They are endearing. Well, I understand that you could criticize someone for falling in love with someone who would end up hurting them so much, but before you do, you should understand that no one falls in love with a mistake. We all fall in love with someone because of their gorgeous side, whether it's their charm, intellect, height, or any other reason you can think of. People with antisocial personality disorder now enjoy the extra benefit of their charisma. Consider this. They are normal people in terms of physical appearance. They may have lifted some weight and look stunning. Now add charm to that Mr. Handsome. you will undoubtedly fall in love. These folks are skilled at utilizing praises, flirtations, and phrases in a manner that keeps you listening. When they initially pursue you, their charisma will make you fall deeper and more in love with them. They'll make de-leab. Irate movements. They'll ask all the correct questions, and they'll be taking notes while you answer them in all your innocence. They have a strong capacity to detect a weakness or a point of vulnerability, which is similar to how, if you have traveled a road, you are aware of all the signposts and landmarks along the route, because most of them have a strong feeling of uneasiness that is concealed deep inside them and unnoticed. They can immediately detect when you are uneasy about anything. They will put this knowledge to use in two ways. They will utilize it to make you feel secure around them at the start of your relationship with them. If you are self-conscious about your appearance, they will continue to tell you how lovely and fantastic you are. Later in the relationship, they would use the same tactic to control you. In our situation, if you become wary of them and decide to break up with them, they would most likely tell you that you are unable of finding someone who can actually love you since you are so unattractive. They have no emotional connection. Because of the charm we discussed, you will first believe that you are the greatest person, a match made in paradise, and the world is entirely for both of you. They will make fun of their ex-partners, and sooner or later, you will find yourself in their company, where you will be labeled as insane. They will fabricate a false but persuasive tale about their ex, and they will continue to persuade you that you are the only person who has ever loved and treated them properly. You will only recognize the phoniness of your relationship when he moves on to someone better person than you, before you can even comprehend that you both broke up. Because they want to manipulate you and control you through love, can they change? We've all heard the term date a person, not an illusion. You can never change anybody until they're in diapers, or you can never change anyone unless they're in diapers. Despite the gospel of not attempting to change others being proclaimed with zeal, there are still individuals who date others in order to change them. Worse, some individuals who date others in order to change them. Worse, some individuals notice a succession of warning signals in a relationship and opt to remain longer, expecting that their spouse will change at some point. It's disheartening to see that none of the desired transformations actually occur. Instead, someone's soul is shredded right in their presence. Their emotions are mistreated, and their physical body is sometimes damaged. And the question arises, is it ever really worth it? Persons suffering from antisocial personality disorders are unable to change because, for one thing, they are unaware that they have a problem. We can all agree that the first step in healing is admitting that you have a problem and beginning to explore solutions. They know they are flawless, and they do not make errors until they are triggered by others who are not like them. This lack of awareness makes it tough for them to seek counseling or a therapist. To make matters worse, they are often unwilling to accept any type of correction from anybody. If you attempt to call them out on anything they did, they will most likely take it personally. They have a habit of harboring grudges and seeking vengeance on those who have good intentions of correcting them. It would be foolish to think that these individuals would change if they were unwilling to enable others to show them what they could not see on their own. Another critical stage of the transformation process is when we accept responsibility for our actions. Taking responsibility simply means admitting that you are human and that you are human, and that you are not perfect, but that you are constantly eager to improve. When you continue to avoid responsibility for anything you did, you are just state, and that you believe in your beliefs and are unwilling to change. In this manner, you ignore your shortcomings, which reinforces your sense of perfection and causes you to look down on other people because of how flawed they seem in your eyes. They live on control and manipulation, which makes it difficult for them to change. It's in their nature to want to feel important, in control, and in charge. They seem to believe that the world belongs to them and that everything else should give way. Trying to change would thus imply that they give up the part of themselves that makes them feel valued, desirable, and appreciated. Furthermore, watching you become subservient to them soothes their ego, which they will not quickly give up, making it more difficult for them to ever change. Their cycle of relationships is another major impediment to change. Have you ever broken up with someone and then jumped into another relationship right afterward, either for comfort or to prove a point? Often, the new relationship has a very high possibility of collapsing in a very short amount of time. This is because you did not give yourself enough time to absorb the last breakup and the emotions that accompanied it. You didn't have to deal with bad feelings because you started a new relationship and ruined the old one by being too romantic with your new partner. What you didn't comprehend was that our potential to experience happy emotions is boosted by the bad feelings we often feel. Furthermore, if you take the time to analyze the previous breakup without prejudice, you will be able to discover some of your areas of weakness that will be more likely to help you work out the next relationship if you are willing to learn from them. People with antisocial personality disorder seldom take the time to reflect on what caused their last relationship to fail. In any event, they were never interested in making it work in the first place. They were just interested in exploiting the other person. In most situations, they are already looking for someone else to prey on before they call it quits with the other individual. It is difficult for them to experience transformation because they are trapped in a cycle of short-lived, self-centered relationships. When you like doing anything, I'm sure you'll search for any opportunity to do it. This is just another reason why these individuals may never modify their ways in relationships. Have you ever heard someone defend why someone deserved to be abused or killed? Isn't the sound often ridiculous? This is what these folks do from time to time. They will provide arguments for why individuals should be treated poorly. At times, they will go to great lengths to instigate violence. For example, if you are in love with someone, they will do something that they know would make you angry. Obviously, you will get enraged and begin to wonder. By that point, they've long retreated, pretending that nothing occurred or that you're a strange person who responds to little things. The fact is that they like playing with your emotions and seeing how you respond, because this brings them a lot of joy. It's doubtful they'll ever change. While we may modify our behaviors by putting ourselves in the shoes of another, these folks cannot simply grasp how the other person feels, making change impossible for them. Dangers of a long-term relationship with these toxic people. Some individuals often find themselves in relationships with psychopaths, sociopaths, or narcissists. These folks are harmful in a variety of ways. Some of the hazards you are likely to experience as a psychopath include connection with your spouse. You can be dazzled at first by their method of being around you. They say all the right things. They make you feel like the center of the universe, and they are typically ecstatic about every aspect of your connection with them. Unawares, you may misinterpret this as love and a sign of concern, but this time is often driven by a secret goal. And when that goal is gone, so is their interest in the relationship. They are showing a lot of disrespect at this stage and may wind up mistreating their relationships. Psychopaths are often incapable of maintaining long-term relationships. They are always on the prowl, and as a result, they exhibit a cycle of toxic relationships. Breakups never put them in a vulnerable situation since they avoid connecting with their spouse. They like it, particularly when their spouse is in a losing position. They are stuck in a loop of undervaluing and dismissing individuals. Furthermore, it is uncommon to get a real apology from a psychopath's spouse. This is mostly due to their inability to empathize. If they do apologize, it is generally with hollow words that are never accompanied by behavioral change. They may also attempt to unveil, ideate, or significantly downplay their activity by using language like "I made a mistake." They rarely feel guilty or sorry, since such feelings are not among the emotions that they are capable of experiencing. When they cause harm to others, their instinctive reflexes normally fade away. If they remain, they will make you feel petty for being outraged by their conduct. "You need to move on from the things in the past or let it go" are two popular statements they will use on you. Psychopaths often see individuals as nothing more than things to be used and then discarded. It doesn't matter how devoted you are to them, since they already know why you're there. Most of the time, they will favor those who are prepared to give up everything, even their reputation, to protect them. Because immorality lies at the heart of a psychopath, you should expect a string of troubles in a relationship. A psychopath will participate in a variety of hazardous actions because they are concerned about causing damage to others. Forcing sex with them or assaulting children are just a few instances of what such partners are capable of. For a psychopath's spouse, sex is a one-sided affair. In general, any decent sex includes some kind of emotional connection between two consenting adults. However, the story changes when one of the couples is a psychopath. They are excellent at enticing someone and making you want to sleep with them. The pitfall, though, is frequently their emotional separation from their companion. When they go into bed with you, they are usually aiming to satisfy their demands with little regard for what that means for the other person. In normal relationships, sex is often driven by the need to connect, but a psychopath's biggest turn on is the need to be in charge. They will have sex as long as it guarantees the end of what they want. If they want to steal or scam your money and the only way they can do it is via sex, they will do it to the best of their ability. In fact, some women who have been in a relationship with a psychopath report sexual contact as fantastic. This is because most of their life behaviors are generally acted upon, and they have learned the ability to act in order to persuade others to believe their falsehoods. They are more inclined to engage in excessive sexual activity with strangers. This is typically not because they like sex, but because sex helps them inflate their ego and gain a sense of power. Psychopaths are often bored, and in order to alleviate this boredom, they engage in a variety of sexual acts. They may access them at their most vulnerable and weakest moment when they have sex with a stranger. If you are prone to things like loneliness or a sense of social rejection, you are more likely to receive approaches from a psychopath, since this will provide them an opportunity to take more advantage of you. Psychopaths will create timing similar to when you are having fun in a bar right from the start. When everyone is inebriated, they are more vulnerable to any sexual approaches made to them. In such circumstances, the psychopath will appear to have a lot in common with you, and they will ask deep and very personal questions from the start in order to find a way to take advantage of you. There is also a propensity for them to seek sympathy and solicit pity from their targets. They usually come out as a touch too strong. They come to you with the assurance that you are meant to be together. Most of the time, they want you to finish the sale as quickly as possible. Any signs of weakness or vulnerability that you exhibit, whether unintentionally or knowingly, offer them an advantage over you. They often want to take you home on the first day you meet them. It won't be any different for you if you fall in love with a psychopath. Your relationship will be fraught with turmoil and continual emotional torture. Sociopaths are born with an incapacity to be empathic. They have no issue manipulating anybody, even those closest to them. And, in most circumstances, they are unable to return any sort of affection given to them. They maintain communication at its optimum during the start of a relationship. This is sometimes misinterpreted as a real desire to get to know their partner. which is a fantastic beginning point for any relationship. The catch is that throughout this contact, they frequently pick up on an individual's numerous spots of weakness, which will aid them in attaining their objectives. Typically, a relationship with a sociopath tends to have 3 different stages, which include the idealizing phase, when everything appears to go well at the start. Then there's the devaluation phase, when they start displaying their true colors and start dismissing your sentiments, which they never cared about in the first place. Finally, there comes the discard phase, in which they abandon you without regard for the emotional consequences. Breaking up with a sociopath may be difficult on your reputation, and in the end can be dangerous to your overall security. It is in their nature to bring others down and discredit them if it benefits them. They will, on the other hand, retain connections with their ex-partners only if these interactions fulfill their egotistical requirements. Whether they crave money, prestige, or sex, they will keep exes around who can provide these requirements. They have a method of dealing with people that is frequently crafty and cruel. They will just say what an ex wants to hear and then go about their usual psychopath business. In most circumstances, a sociopath will prefer to be with a well-liked individual. They usually do not invest in any kind of connection. They are never interested in growth, development, or emotional connection. They will remain as long as the connection benefits them. They may go to whatever extent they choose, and they typically have reasons or explanations for doing things the way they do. When you are in a relationship with them and continue to question their actions and methods, you will eventually understand that nothing is ever off limits for them. If you are well liked or recognized by others, a sociopath will remain with you merely to feel well liked by association. Relationships with sociopaths may be costly as you attempt to satisfy their insatiable need for thrillers. Sociopaths are known to be easily bored, and as a result, they are always seeking methods to re-energize themselves. If not properly considered, this might be misinterpreted as a desire to be spontaneous. Furthermore, they lack the self-control to inform individuals that a desire to spend money on a luxury, such as an expensive date, may be postponed. It's all about the here and now for them. Whatever they want must be provided immediately and without delay. Another risk of being in a relationship with a sociopath is having to handle your difficult moments alone. Well, it is frequently beneficial to have individuals around you who can keep you calm while life's floods rage. However, in the instance of a sociopath, the situation is quite different. They are unaffected by what is going on in other people's lives, maybe because of their incapacity to empathize and put themselves in the emotional shoes of others, or simply because they have walled off their feelings. Being in a relationship with a sociopath can make you feel vulnerable after you have revealed all of your personal details to them. They have a way of persuading you to speak out. They will delve into your past in order to find gaps through which to control you. They, on the other hand, will offer you brief, ambiguous answers to any inquiries you ask about them, their upbringing, or anything else in life. They usually do this so that you can feel safe around them since you know a bit or two about them. They will provide a distorted image of their upbringing and background. Most of the time, their childhood was filled with shame and pain that they don't want to talk about. So they build an ideal childhood, and that is what they speak about when questioned about their upbringing. A relationship with a narcissist is the same as a relationship with themselves. They, like their relatives, the psychopaths and sociopaths are exceedingly charming at first. They withhold any emotional reciprocation after luring you into adoring them. Skirting around issues that are significant to both of you will be a regular occurrence. They dislike being confronted with the truth or being called out on anything because they feel they are flawless. As a result, They reject the need to resolve a relationship problem since doing so would shatter the bubble of perfection they have formed around themselves. If you have children with a narcissist, they will have a favorite and a scapegoat. The favored child is always the one who feeds the narcissist's ego, while the scapegoat is the child who shows the parents problems. They coerce their children into doing what they want, and they never let them make even the smallest choice on their own. When you are in a relationship with a narcissist, you run the risk of constantly surrendering your ideals and chain in your boundaries in order to satisfy your spouse. It will never be enough, no matter how far you go in doing so. This is because narcissists live on being in charge and feeling strong, and there is never a goal in this. The sense of power and value must be restored on a regular basis, and you are the one to do it. Frequently asked questions about psychopathic, sociopaths, and narcissistic minds. 1. How come we miss a narcissist? We often overlook a narcissist because we have a false image of narcissists in our heads. We keep an eye out for those who are aggressive, dangerous to be around, and noisy. In essence, narcissists are not like this. Instead, these are individuals who hide their feelings of vulnerability, grief, and loneliness by making themselves feel exceptional. Because relying on others is risky for them, they rely on the belief that they are unique to get through their sad times. 2. What are some of the ways in which narcissists can charm you? Narcissists may be very extroverted people. There is also a technique known as effective ornamentation, in which, given enough time, one may make oneself seem lovely. Most narcissists care a lot about how they look on the outside so that everyone who meets them is immediately attracted to them. Another powerful narcissistic appeal is how they prioritize individuals. They will elevate you so that they may enjoy the pleasure of being linked with a unique person. It also makes people feel protected since they feel connected to a deity or a super power in that manner. 3. How are narcissists able to control people? They often use a method of stealth control, in which you are unaware that you are being controlled. Narcissists are self-centered and expect to get whatever they ask for. Because they are afraid of hearing a no, they will not ask for things directly, but instead employ a method that is successful and makes saying no almost impossible. In a relationship, for example, you can find yourself going on a date when and where they want to go. Your choices for the day and location may not matter until you understand that this person is not interested in going out on dates with you. He is just interested in doing things that are enjoyable for them, but they drag you along with them. 4. What is fluctuating empathy and how does it work? At some point, one feels truly worried and connected with their pals in this scenario. It is particularly common at the start of a relationship when a person demonstrates empathy and listens. The person then gives themselves time to think about the friendship and any bad things that might happen because of it based on past experience, incest, or specific worries. They immediately begin to lose the empathy they had from the start. They revert to their egotistical nature. 5. Help me understand the twin fantasy. Narcissists will use this method to persuade you that you have a lot in common. They will act like they love what you love and do most of what you want, so they don't have to fight with you. In most situations, differences produce disappointments, which narcissists are unable to accept. They want the fake relationship of being similar to the other person, so they may believe they are in a particular sort of relationship, rather than a true connect that arises from being different but finding common ground to connect on. In this manner, these narcissists rely totally on the sensation of being in a different form of relationship to feel significant, and they pay no attention to any connection between you. 6. What are some of the ways that a narcissist is going to hurt me? You may miss out on some of the emotional damage that narcissists are likely to give you if you have the perspective that they are aggressive and noisy. When individuals want to feel special, the only way they can do so is by tearing you down and constantly pointing fingers at you while avoiding accountability for their wrongdoings. That is when you lose your self-confidence. Continuous interaction with these individuals may cause you to render all of your values to win their acceptance or love. Furthermore, you waste your energy on someone who does not pay attention to you, which may lead to resentment or the dread of ever loving again in the long term. 7. When is the right time to walk away? When we discover that the people in our lives are poisonous, our natural reaction is to flee. Even when we really desire to go, it may be exceedingly difficult to do so, perhaps because of the nature of our connection with these individuals, such as their being direct family members. However, there are a few indicators that nothing is going to improve. When a person is in denial and does not know they have a problem, they are unlikely to seek treatment, and their prospects of ever getting better are slim. Also, if the person never seems to feel bad about what they've done, it may be a sign that you should leave. Remember that having the support of a healthy community and a professional is essential while leaving an abusive relationship. 8. How can you cope with a narcissistic family member? As previously said, certain types of connections are unbreakable, such as if you have a narcissistic brother or parent. If you dare to abandon them, you may never see the rest of your family again. Dealing with these folks is critical in such a circumstance. One efficient technique to do this is to draft a connection contract that specifies the conditions under which you will meet and what you will not discuss. For example, if your narcissistic mother continues bringing up your failed marriage, you may phone her ahead of time before coming home and inform her that you are interested in meeting up with them, but do not want the subject of your marriage brought up. Then, keep that choice open to them. They are likely to want to see you as well, so they will appreciate the fact that the subject is not part of your meeting arrangement. 9. Do sociopaths love? Yes, sociopaths can love, but they cannot love you beyond themselves, although they will absolutely love you above everyone else. Individuals have come to assume that these people are incapable of loving, yet the fact is that they may sometimes make better mates than regular people. For example, persons from disadvantaged backgrounds would most likely assess you based on where you came from and what society has stated about you and your history if they come into touch with a typical person. However, the sociopath's capacity to disregard societal rules and regulations allows them to view you for who you are without prejudice. Furthermore, they seek a great deal of knowledge about their companion, which is a wonderful foundation for treating you well. 10. Are sociopaths aware that they are different from other people? Yes. Unlike narcissists, who have no notion that they are different from everyone else save for the fact that they are exceptional, a sociopath is conscious that they are different from everyone else. Though it may take them some time to realize this, they eventually do. The fascinating aspect is that highly functioning sociopaths recognize the power to influence not just others, but even themselves, an idea that often fosters self-control. 11. Can a psychopath change? No. We sometimes want to put our trust in individuals because we are terrified of leaving them or accept in them for who they are. Psychopaths will not change because they do not want to. They feel wonderful and unique since they can treat others harshly and believe that societal standards do not apply to them. If they try to act like something has happened to them and they are more sensible or sensitive now, just know that it is all a trick to make them feel better. 12. Should I warn the next target? After going through a heartbreaking experience with your abusive psychopath, the next thing you want to do is launch a national television campaign to highlight how dreadful they are and list all of the character qualities that lead you to believe they are psychopaths. That will absolutely work, maybe for the first person you warn through email or text. What you meant to use as a way to show compassion, however, will be used to show the second target that you are bitter and hopeless. It can make them feel extra special. Allow individuals to discover on their own and leave when they want to, not when you tell them to. Understanding how they act. How they act in general. The most pressing problem in today's environment is assessing one's psychological state of mind. People have a wide range of personalities, including psychopaths, sociopaths, and narcissists, which must be understood for a better coexistence in society. Naturally, there is no explanation for such a psychological condition, but there are certain intriguing personalities that one develops as one grows older, and some may be inherited from parents. For a better understanding of the problem in society, experts developed an updated psychological checklist to analyze and quantify the 20 personality and behavioral signs. Psychopaths are first seen to be outwardly charming, pompous, and manipulative, and they are prone to blaming others for their behavior. It is difficult to leave such individuals in society, but we cannot drive them away since they may be our brothers or sisters. Therefore, we must find a method to accept them. Most of the time, they don't care about other people and don't show any regret for what they've done. Understanding these individuals is much more crucial than everything else. They often look for ways to get what they want, and they don't care about the consequences of their actions as long as they get what they want. To put it another way, most of them commit too many crimes, which may make them more dangerous to society and makes it impossible to take care of them. As a result, real action must be made, and the need to be understood in the community is critical. Though there is no one cause of psychopathy, it may be linked to genes that are responsible for 40 to 60 of its development. Most of the time, it has been linked to the way that biological, psychological, and social risk factors in the social environment work together. Given the repercussions of living with such a mentality among us, we should investigate numerous risk factors that may lead to psychopathy and how they emerge, even if it is a complex personality condition that requires special attention. Furthermore, it is critical to understand how psychopaths interact with sociopaths. It gives a platform for comparison and contrast, resulting in a more complete understanding of the issue. Sociopaths, on the other hand, are seen as shallow and unable to make deep, meaningful connections. They also have a weak bond with other people. In other words, they are not friendly. And any relationship they form with these people is likely to end quickly because they can't act like they are doing these things. They normally prefer to operate alone and in solitude. Still, they have different personalities, and most of the time they are more likely to lie and cheat when they don't value friendship and working together. From a different angle, these individuals are selfish and lack empathy, and they don't care what other people think about their conduct. Psychopaths don't act the way they do because of their genes. Instead, their behavior is affected by social and cultural factors like their environment. These types of behaviors are natural, and the end outcome is unfit for society. Understanding the thinking shown by this personality may prevent others from imitating the character owing to its artificial source. Unfortunately, this kind of personality is sometimes linked to seductive and dishonest behavior, which can hurt people who aren't sure what to do. The chance of being a victim is quite great, and it is easy to mistake this kind of personality for being friendly, which is not the case since they are deceptive, dangerous, and do not value friendship. Furthermore, they are impulsive and untrustworthy, having no clear aims in life. If you have one as a buddy, all you have to do is comprehend and accept full responsibility for their actions. They do, however, exhibit certain predictable emotions and behaviors that may be discovered by a thorough examination of their activities. Sociopaths seem to be uneasy, and they might get irritated quickly. These characteristics make individuals prone to explosive activities motivated by rage. Result: in emotional outbursts that tend to keep individuals from employment and schooling. Fortunately, they may form attachments with certain individuals, but they don't care about the norms and regulations, which may lead to impulsive crime. The narcissist personality, on the other hand, is very complex. While having a strong personality, these individuals lack a fundamental self. They do not believe in themselves and want reinforcement from others to maintain their self-esteem. It's a frequent fallacy that narcissists like themselves and enjoy their own company. They, on the other hand, despise themselves. Though perfectionists, exaggerated self-flattery, and arrogance are shown by these folks who may seem to be bothersome, they utilize such to conceal their true selves. These individuals are terrified of reality and cannot tolerate the truth. Thus, they tend to be more immersed in their hobbies, which may not make sense in certain cases. These individuals seem to be powerful on the outside, but they are emotionally dead and need to be resurrected. In most situations, they are unappreciative of others' attempts to help them. And they are perfectionists who feel that their work is the best and that what others do is none of their concern. Unfortunately, they can't understand when someone cares about them, and when this happens, they try to get away from the person who cared about them. Narcissists often have an inflated egos and are both arrogant and dictatorial. These individuals are difficult to work with since they often elicit excess respect from others, and, as a result, abuse and take advantage of these people's goodwill for their own benefit, which is unacceptable. Their unending desires for power, wealth, and brilliance overload their personalities, and they are unable to see others as fellow human beings. How they act at work: psychopaths make up a tiny fraction of the workforce, yet their presence is critical to the company in many ways. Unfortunately, when these people are put in charge of a business, they often cause a lot of trouble. Though they are often found in higher-level positions because of their personalities, which is critical to the organization's success. Organizations that are expanding their operations will have these individuals in positions to monitor and manage subordinate staff. Unfortunately, their actions, which may make people angry, make it likely that the organization will fail. For example, these people are known for their bullying, stress, conflicts, absences, and high employee turnover. They are also less productive and have less social responsibility. When these individuals are in control, the organization's ethical standards might suffer, leading to even larger losses at the end of the day. Such qualities have a negative impact on shareholder value and future returns on equity. Office psychopaths are recognized for their attractive personalities toward their superiors in the workplace hierarchy, which tends to win them favor. On the other hand, they are abusive to lower-level employees and treat them with disdain and malice. Furthermore, they are adept at sustaining various personalities in the workplace by providing each employee with a version of themselves. In other words, they provide nicknames to each employee for identification among colleagues. Organizational psychopaths often want pleasant sensations of power and control over others at work. Higher positions in companies enable them to satisfy their egos by dominating a large number of people, yet they are not always clever since they may fool others into thinking they have power over them. Most of the time, they scare their younger employees to hide the fact that they can't do their jobs well. They want to delegate tasks and then take credit for the results. In other words, they are opportunistic in a performance. Working with sociopaths may also be difficult if you don't know how to deal with them. They aren't afraid to lie, and in some ways, they act in a way that might not be good for the job, like being cold and manipulative. These individuals are frequently immune to their colleagues' emotional states and will attempt anything to get their way, regardless of the repercussions of their actions. Without a doubt, the notion of morality is alien to these individuals, and they would go to any lengths to get the attention and affirmation of their colleagues at work. In most situations, they are appealing and difficult to ignore, even though their motives are not genuine and they do not want to satisfy anybody unless they can gain from you. According to clinical psychologist Martha Stout, the number of sociopaths in the workplace is small. And for about 4 of all employees. Surprisingly, sociopaths are often successful in their lives, depending on the career path they choose. Their character allows them to go for what they desire in life, and they consistently excel in their job routes via persistence and inexhaustible enthusiasm. Their ruthlessness gets them amazing deals in business, and this is what distinguishes them from the competition. People tend to look up to these individuals for job security and prestige. Sociopaths are noted for their great performance and charm, which draws individuals of all levels to them. These individuals are appealing, and they know how to exploit that to their advantage. They may seem kind and empathic, yet they are not. They utilize their charm to attain their goal and then take credit for it. They will go to any length to attain their objectives, even creating collateral harm. People who are narcissistic are known for being unproductive at work, which can be bad for an organization if it isn't closely watched. When their self-esteem is attacked, they usually respond uncomfortably. Narcissism has been found to be both a personality disorder and a trait that can't be changed by outside forces most of the time. All we have to do is understand the condition and adapt it at work. Fortunately, as compared to psychopaths and sociopaths, these persons tend to do better in interviews and obtain good hiring rates. Though narcissists have a tendency to generate social impressions when given the opportunity to express themselves, which distinguishes them from others, they also have a tendency to brag in order to achieve good impressions with employers. Furthermore, their perfectionist temperament makes them terrific workers, but lousy employers since they place a high value on quality, and juniors may feel threatened when they are in positions of control. These people are hard to work with. They often stand out to employers by doing great work, and they are always trying to be the best at everything they do. If there is a credit to be won at work, they will go to any length to get it. Even if they are working as a group, they want praise and authority to satisfy their egos, and they are always concerned about job success. They are the perfect individuals to hire for employers, but the instant they learn they are smarter than the boss, all hell breaks loose. They will do whatever it takes to make the employer regret hiring them in the first place. They will undermine the company's reputation in order to create their own. And they don't care how long it takes to outperform the employer. To coworkers, they are the ideal individuals to work with because of their expertise, openness, and fun personalities, and they can adapt well to new environments. How they act in romantic relationships. Psychopaths, like everyone else, may have healthy relationships despite their dysfunctional nature. However, if you want to have a meaningful connection with these folks, you must exercise caution. These individuals are still our friends despite their continuous antisocial conduct, boldness, emotional resilience, and deficient empathy and regret. And they may have other attractive attributes. However, be prepared for other things in such a love connection since egocentric tendencies will have to rule the partnership. Pathological lying is the norm while dating psychopaths, and it becomes obvious as soon as you start dating them. They will lie under all circumstances to disguise their actions and prolong the relationship without comprehending their deception. They use this to defend their conduct and have their way in relationships, allowing them to attain their desired outcomes. Unfortunately, it is difficult to recognize that their lie is false, and they will always neatly wrap the tale to avoid any discovery of deception. They also have a superficial appeal that they skillfully exploit to gain the interest of their lovers. If one becomes used to that charm, it becomes extremely difficult to refuse the attract. And instead they get hooked on them. Psychopaths often have a distorted sense of self-worth. This trait allows them to quickly form new connections and approach confident experts while still winning their favor. Before they agree, they tend to demolish people's self-esteem and declare them useless. People prefer to give them free rein in romantic relationships because the attribute gives them more power. According to research, psychopaths use a gaslighting tactic to undermine Tim's trust before taking control. Also, these people are good at noticing how people act and then using that information against them in a relationship to get what they want. It's hard to say no to them when they try to manipulate you, and when you do, they usually get angry and treat you badly. Finally, psychopaths cannot be changed since their brains are designed in such a way that they feel no shame for their actions. Sociopaths and psychopaths act the same in relationships, but sociopaths are better at manipulating people than psychopaths. They are good observers and will constantly think ahead of you in the relationship. Thus, it is impossible to detect their deception. As a consequence, they have an intuitive sense of humor and a loving inclination toward others, which they employ to get access to someone's heart. Though they lack empathy, one cannot discern their genuine sentiments. They only participate in relationships that they plan to gain from, and if you have nothing to offer, they will not engage in such an engagement. Initially, they have strong communication with partners, and it may seem that they care or do not care about your sentiments. Sociopaths often keep friendships with their ex-partners and will exploit every opportunity to ruin them. To feed their ego, they would sometimes badmouth their exes in front of outsiders and find justifications to spin the cause for their split in her favor. They will, however, only keep advantageous exes around for benefits such as knowledge, prestige, money, and sex. That is all they care about, and if their exes required similar things in return, they would be unpleasant and boast of their good fortune. In addition, sociopaths see others as possible targets, competitors, or predators. All they see is a long-term relationship that can be ended whenever they are content or fed up with you. Closeness is not in their lexicon, and anybody who attempts long-term intimacy with them will likely fail since their whole focus is not on one person. Most of the time, they cheat a lot in relationships because they can't have all of the things they want in one person. Similarly, they are quite impulsive, and they will often acquire what they want when they need it. As a result, these couples are linked by their excessive use of excitement and stimulation. Dating a narcissist, on the other hand, may provide additional difficulties. Relationships with this kind of person often begin as a fairy tale in which you will unknowingly receive their messages and calls, and they will send you love texts, love bombing. They will underline how attractive you are and how intelligent you are, and you will be drawn to them right away. These individuals believe that they are entitled to be with unique people in their lives, people who can completely appreciate them. Everything will be well with these individuals in a love relationship until their spouse does something they do not agree with, at which point they will turn away. A narcissist will do everything to make you feel good at first, and after you've fallen for their trap, their attention is turned to their emotions. They tend to create superficial ties in the relationship, which often turn out to be false. Narcissists often like continually bragging about their successes and achievements. If you can't keep the discus, scion focused on their triumphs and accomplishments in life, the partner is likely to end the relationship since that's all that counts to them, not yours. They usually exaggerate their achievements to get praise and social acceptance. If you can't get along with such people, you should avoid dating them at all costs. As a result, they have no time to listen to other people's tales or concerns since all they care about is their own well-being and feelings of superiority. One can only gain devotion by praise, and adoring their successes, which they often discuss to feed their poor self-esteem. Methods used by sociopaths. Sociopaths will always find their way, particularly through using manipulative strategies to attack their opponents. They do this by reducing the effect of their acts. They do so by stating that their actions are not as reckless as the complaint perceives, and that it is only an exaggeration. If you have to believe that, they will most likely agree, and the consequence will always be irreversible. It's the same as admitting that they are correct, and you are incorrect. Furthermore, they are more likely to tell more falsehoods to excuse their actions, which may prove to be the most effective strike against them. All they care about is the final goal, and they will use any weapon to get there. Sociopaths are skilled at shifting responsibility to others. They will deny it right in front of your eyes, and you will not believe them. The denial method they use is typical me. The victim is prone to admitting what they did not do in order to please the sociopath's ego. In several situations, they will exploit the encounter to fight back and agree with the victim. If you are weak, your prospects of living under these individuals are quite slim, and it is time to resign. They will also use shunning and stonewalling to attack others. Because they dislike conflict and contrast, they will try separate your concept and proceed with their own. When dealing with youngsters, one will shut his or her ears so that they do not hear what you are saying. The same is true for adults, who may purposely shun you down while you are speaking in order to get their point over. In general, the less you avoid communicating with these individuals, the less vulnerable you are to their critiques and delicate communication abilities, which they will use to attack you back. They defeat you in your own game, on your own field, with your own game rules. They don't care. Furthermore, they use covert intimidation to attack and dominate their opponents. They find your weak point and will do whatever to exploit it in order to terrify their opponents. If one is weak, they have a risk of losing, which is their delight. Finally, sociopaths prefer to play the victim of circumstances in order to elicit sympathy from the broader public, and anybody who does not know them well will fall for their tactics and deception. They will elicit sympathy and use it as a weakness of the opponent or adversary. They will also employ a guilt-tripping technique to place blame on individuals who are not accountable for their reckless actions. They will gain the confidence of their elders and therefore be able to divide and dominate over others. Methods used by psychopaths. Psychopaths are usually connected with criminal conduct, which may or may not be true for all of them. Not all of them are criminals, and I am not supporting this with any proof. According to a study, barely 1% of the population meets the requirements for being a psychopath, and it is rare for society to disregard these individuals. These individuals have a high level of Machiavellianism, which they employ to attack members of society. Their clever and manipulative personalities distinguish them from others, and they know how to make a spectacle in order to capture people's attention. As a result, they will always have their method to agree with others. Their destructive techniques may be used at any moment to have their way and get what they want. They will breach the rules and obtain the deal they desire because they reject the authorities' norms and moral standards. They don't care if it means disrespecting those in posse, Titans of power. Others appreciate these master manipulators because of their charming and superficial facade. They can persuade people and get their way in a very easy way. Most of the time, they will employ acquaintances, co-workers, or friends to attack and deal with others. They stand out from the crowd due to their remarkable public speaking abilities, and they generally use their bravado and daring attitude to attack the victims. Furthermore, they might devise a deception and defamation strategy to create an emotional imbalance in the victims before triggering the fear that normally causes them to give in when striking a settlement. They are superior to others because they lack empathy. Such individuals have no sense of remorse. All they worry about is themselves and how they can fulfill their ego. In this scenario, they may use force to achieve what they want, and no one will question their actions. They lack social feelings in general, and you may question how they interact with others in society. All they see is veo, lens, and it never occurs to them that they are wrong. If they take anything from you, even if you catch them red-handed, they will not return it to you. Instead, they will insult you and even beat the crap out of you. It may seem amusing, but it is quite sad. These individuals are self-centered, and their inflated sense of self-worth prevents them from caring about others. Anyone who is self-centered prioritizes their own wants before caring for others. In these scenarios, psychopaths will always get what they want from others in order to please themselves, even if it means taking credit for something they never accomplish. They will do it in a deceptive manner. Methods used by narcissists. First and foremost, they utilize gaslighting strategies to influence and agree with the victim. They prefer to declare, "That did not happen," in order to avoid the issue and persuade the victim to accept their point of view. Remember that these people always say they are the best, and anything that makes them look less Kriya, or smart is rejected. They may use phrases like, "Are you crazy?" to call your sanity and the accuracy of the facts you're providing into doubt. Finally, they will not accept knowledge but will use it against you. Under their supervision, one is more likely to become a victim. These methods are employed to garner notice and praise for their abilities. One will very certainly fall for their trap and get what they want when they want it with quick impact. They distort and destroy one's sense of reality, and a sense of justification only attracts abuse and maltreatment. Narcissists will constantly try to avoid being held responsible for their flaws. These individuals are chronically hesitant to accept responsibility for whatever wrongdoing they have committed, instead finding a way to blame others. They gain ground in order to develop reputations, which may subsequently get them new jobs at work or elevate them over you. When this occurs, one will remain obedient to their mischief and manipulative ways. They use your undesirable behavior or trait as a stepping stone to what they desire in life as a defensive mechanism. This personality eventually leads to digression and a lack of responsibility. It is really difficult to have a sensible conversation with such folks. When conversing with narcissists, keep in mind that they will generally develop a means to belittle everyone who communicates with them. When you talk to them, it seems like they have a supermind that will always use an ad hominem argument to get you to talk about something else. They use this to discredit you, to make you feel weak in their presence, and to give them authority over the circumstances they have created. You should be wary of their hostility and lack of empathy. They will acquire what they want regardless of the means and methods of obtaining it. And in their opinion, there is no issue with achieving what they want even if someone is wounded in the process. In order to make a point, they will constantly strive to minimize your viewpoint. The narcissists will reinterpret your argument and make you appear like an idiot. For example, someone may claim that something is making them miserable. Therefore, they seek assistance. They will, in their perspective, make one believe that they are the source of the issues and the mechanism for one to learn how to fix oneself. In many situations, they will tend to highlight the flaws that may have contributed to such occurrences. Feelings are in veil, dated, and they take control of how one should live their life from now on. The fruit falls by itself when it is ripe. Move on to healing. Moving on is not always easy, but when you have been in a relationship with a toxic person, it is unquestionably the wisest thing to do. Knowing that it is for your own advantage will not make things any easier. There will be times when you will be tempted to phone them, either to see how they are or to come over and hang out. Do not be too harsh on yourself for feeling this way, despite the fact that they have caused you so much sorrow. It is very natural to feel this way, but resist the impulse to contact them or establish any communication ties with them. Here are some practical tips to aid you on your recovery path. Look for other worthwhile activities to keep oneself occupied. When you don't have much to do, you'll have plenty of time to ponder a relationship. Looking for anything else to do will keep you from thinking about returning to your abuser. Signing up for a gym session, enrolling in a dance class, or participating in community events are examples of such activities. It also helps in ensuring that your grief is channeled into something more important than harmful pursuits such as drug and substance misuse. When the mending process is complete, you will recognize how much you have grown. Continue to remind yourself why you left in the first place. When you miss an abusive relationship, you may consider the notion that you were too sensitive or that you overreacted. Keeping a record of why you left can help you when you start to question your choice to leave. You will also need to designate a call companion in this situation. This is someone who will be there for you, who you can contact and chat with, and who will restore your sanity when you seem to be going mad. They will call and listen to you when you are down. And the temptation to return to the poisonous relationship is too strong to resist. Surrounding oneself with a healthy group of understanding individuals may also be really beneficial. A person who has been down that road is familiar with all of the twists and turns you are likely to experience on your path to recovery. Furthermore, these folks will serve as a powerful support system when you are no longer able to bear the strain. We might get so used to being mistreated that we are unable to move beyond it. Have you ever observed how some individuals go from one abusive relationship to the next? These folks do not relish the abuse. They are just stuck in a loop of not being able to meet someone who can provide them with real love. In that view, having a community to whom you can be accountable, whether it is family or friends, is very important because they will offer you objective advice the next time you believe you are ready to fall in love, so that you may limit the possibilities of being injured a second time. Seeking professional assistance is a vital aspect of your recovery process. Therapists, with their many years of expertise, can grasp how you feel at that time and treat you accordingly. You might also join a domestic violence counseling group. You will discover many other individuals who are going through the same thing you are, and you will understand that you are not alone. People who have been abused, like you, may provide crucial advice on how they are coping with their loss. You will also find a secure area to discuss your experience in such forums, since a problem shared is half solved. You will not be criticized in these forums since everyone else is going through the same, if not worse, experience as you. Take it easy on yourself. When we speak about healing, some individuals feel compelled to attain it right now. Yes, we realize that the agony might be unbearable at times, but it is best if you invest some care and patience in yourself, setting goals for what you want to accomplish. Plish by a certain date is fine, but when it comes to healing, give yourself some time to go over the unpleasant experience. If you set a deadline for when you should be entirely over your suffering, you will most likely lose out on the core of the experience. Remember that the journey is just as essential as the goal. It will teach you several things, and you will be grateful to yourself for allowing yourself to go through each step of the mourning process. There have been instances when someone just decides not to go through the anguish alone and instead enters into another relationship. Some of the risks of such acts include carrying the anguish into the next relationship and increasing your chances of being injured again. Allowing yourself to recover allows you to reflect on yourself, discover your flaws, and assess some of the reasons you may have ended up in an abusive teenship in the first place. You may work on your shortcomings and understand your vulnerabilities so that you can do better the following time. Furthermore, healing lets you process and release all of your baggage from your previous relationship, allowing you to be ready to love without fear of the past reoccurring. Most individuals who move on without healing transfer their anguish onto their partners, making it difficult for them to keep the new relationship going. Be conscious of your emotional habits. Some sensations and emotions are triggered by special occasions such as birthdays and anniversaries that you used to celebrate with your spouse. Take note of such days and arrange other plans, as well as seek out individuals to assist you in processing the feelings that arise on such days. Take attention to your patterns as well. For example, some individuals shove their emotional baggage on their teenships. Moving on might be difficult for such individuals since they are prone to calling their partners when they are emotionally overwhelmed. As a result, it is critical that you adjust your go to people and how you process your emotions. Cutting off all contact with your abuser is an important aspect of your recovery process. Make sure you erase their phone number so you don't end up phoning them. Today, social media is a significant contact point as well. Ensure that you unfollow and unfriend them on all social media sites. Depending on your circumstances, you may also need to unfriend some common acquaintances who may serve as a connection between the two of you. When necessary, you may also change your phone number so that they never have a chance to contact you and persuade you to return to the relationship. Get rid of manipulation. Never attempt to reason with someone who is manipulative in their dealings with you. Most individuals will act as if they want to help you or have your best interests at heart, but all they want to do is influence you into doing something so that they can control you and guarantee that you do not outgrow them. You may get rid of such individuals by, for example, ignoring their acts and statements. The worst trap you'll ever get into with a manipulator is attempting to correct them or show them your side of the story. This causes you to fall further into their trap. Their major purpose is to confuse or annoy you so that you will disagree with them. In this case, you are most likely to respond emotionally, and they will know what triggers you or how far you can go at that time. They will utilize their knowledge of your triggers to influence any subsequent decisions you make. Removing them from your life is a better option, and if that isn't possible due to the nature of your connection with them, such as if they are family members, all you have to do is ignore whatever they say and continue doing your own thing in your own thing in your own thing in your own manner. Also, do not dare to be truth full with them. It is pointless to try to convince someone of how you feel about a certain situation. They're going to make matters worse by spinning the issue. For example, if you express your sadness, people may forget you had a meeting with them. You can wind up being the one who apologizes for not caring enough to seek them out and find out why they didn't show up in the first place. They would pretend to have a lot of emotional baggage and a difficult time that they never spoke about because they didn't want to bother you too much. Spot their center of gravity to throw them off balance. Most manipulative persons have an advantage in something, and it is this advantage that they utilize to innate you. To get rid of them, take the time to discover what it is and then tear it down from its base. This way, they will concentrate on recovering control of their lives rather than on how they can dominate yours. For example, If you are in a relationship with them and you lose your job while they are providing everything for you and paying your expenses, they would most likely go around your relatives and friends and depict you as a lazy and prideful person who cannot retain a job. In this manner, they will assure that no one else can come to your financial rescue but them, and they will keep you in check. The best thing to do at this time is to look for and apply for as many jobs as possible. You may also utilize your credit score to acquire a loan and establish a company. You have thereby closed the gap through which they might control you. Furthermore, the falsehoods they told your friends and family about you have backfired on them. You create an imbalance in their center of gravity, and they lose control of you as a result. Trust your instincts. It is dangerous to go about asking others what they believe you are excellent at or what you might improve on, unless you have someone you have put your faith in to do so and you know they will be completely honest with you. This might be a self-destructive act. When a manipulator discovers that you appreciate their viewpoint, they will constantly use it against you, acting as though they want to assist you or find an area where you may improve. Define who you are and believe in what you believe. By doing so, you will be able to establish limits that will protect you against manipulation. Boundaries define the extent to which individuals may approach you. They define what you believe in, and they may tell you what you can and cannot take. When you create them, there is a good chance that you will be able to tell when someone is attempting to help and when they are being manipulative. Avoid and accept being like everyone else. When you stand out in the workplace, for example, and have difficulty being alone, you are more prone to being exploited. Invest in yourself through reinventing, improving, and expanding. You will have no trouble standing out if you do so. Also, quit striving for consistency. People can see your next action if you are consistent, and you can therefore be easily controlled. Consistency also allows others to lock you in a box since they know the size in which you can fit. You drive the manipulators away by continually pushing the limits that others have set for you and striving towards your unique ambitions. For example, if you are in a relationship with someone and they go away every other weekend, only to return on Monday morning, they're probably still doing it because they know it upsets you, and every time you ask about it, you break out weeping. Here's a nice method to handle it the next time. When they get home on Monday, go about your usual routine. Prepare for work, but don't ask them about it. Pack a modest bag and spend the following week with your parents or at a motel. You will defeat them by defying their expectations of you. They will either come to you with the truth if they really care, or they will not show any concern. And those are the red lights. Just take off. Stop making compromises. There are those who would do everything to make other people happy and satisfied with them. You can never acquire complete acceptance. It is just a horizon. Manipulators will make you feel guilty for being proud of your successes, or they will endeavor to ensure that you question yourself every other time. When you are unsure of yourself and your ideals, you offer manipulators an advantage. All you need to know is that you are correct when you are pleased with your achievements. You also owe no one an explanation for the path your life is on. You have the right to make decisions that respect your life and bring you joy. Understand how to manage your habits. When you've been in the hands of a manipulative individual, all you want to do is make sure they don't come near you again. That is not a simple task since you must do extensive excavation work on yourself. You must learn to recognize toxic individuals, and, most importantly, you must learn to regulate your behaviors, which is not always simple. Some methods for achieving habit modification include setting and adhering to limits. You will note that in every controlled relationship, you offered the manipulator an opportunity to question your values, or even worse, you never had values that you formed for yourself to live by. When you construct limits with holes in them, a manipulator has an opportunity to challenge and demonstrate how foolish it is to live by such standards. Alternatively, you could set limits that are flexible enough to accommodate anyone who enters your life and is unwilling to live by or respect your principles in any way. In doing so, you continue to compromise your unique principles to appease everyone. You must understand that every time you compromise a value that you have established for yourself, you are allowing others to go against the remaining ideals. You must learn to set firm limits for yourself. You are not only protecting yourself against toxic relationships, but you are also training yourself to respect other people's boundaries, which helps to improve mutually respectful relationships. Understand your personality and your weak points. Introspecting yourself often and taking stock of how a previous relationship has been with a lot of honesty, without being unjust to the other person, but also honestly realizing your faults, is a terrific method to cope with habit management. When you examine how you have invited manipulators into your life, you will most certainly discover that you empathize with them without delving deeply to see if what they are saying is true. Manipulative persons will fabricate tales about their background, family, or past relationships. If you accept such claims and show even the slightest compassion, they will control you to the core. When you want to leave or do not give in to their requests, they will often guilt-trip you with a tale they made up. Furthermore, if you are a person who is too captivated by what others say and never stops to consider how they behave, it is time to handle that aspect of yourself. Manipulators are very skilled at molding words to suit any context or draw anyone's attention. As you have already discovered, a high level of assertiveness will be required to say no to hollow statements that contradict actions. Another personality trait that you may need to concentrate on is paying attention to details, particularly while conversing with individuals who will become part of your life. If you pay attention at the start, you will notice that someone is talking too much about themselves, their accomplishments, where they have been, and what they believe they can do. You will notice an unnatural fixation with more, such as greater power, attractiveness, and popularity, among other things. If this is not the case, you will observe that no one says anything about themselves. They ask so many questions about you after complimenting you and convincing you that you have so much in common and a link that cannot be broken for you to feel secure enough to disclose everything with them. If you pay attention to such chats, you will observe that they provide extremely ambiguous replies to any questions you ask them. Another aspect of your personality that you may need to improve on is your ability to trust others. Take the time to research individuals, their actions, and their motivations. People who are bad for you are always put off by time, mostly because they haven't learned how to be patient and prefer the here and now. If you tell them you need more time to decide if you are happy being in a relationship with them, you can bet they will go. Furthermore, avoid disclosing too much about yourself and your background on a first date, or even the first few dates. Before you speak about it, make sure you have a good understanding of someone's motivations and feel comfortable sharing that knowledge with them. Learn to see beyond what others think of you. Manipulators are skilled at expressing their feelings about you. Most of the time, they will masquerade as friends who are worried that you are not caring enough, or that the path you are pursuing is dangerous to you and others. Don't even think about it. They are not as good-hearted as they seem to be. If you have given individuals so much power over your life, you will most likely continue to fall into the hands of manipulators. When you have anything else to do, they will come up with something that seems important. When you refuse their request, they will bring it up as though you don't care about them. You must learn to say no, because every yes you give is a no to something else, whether it be your tranquility or your principles. Stop trying to show everyone that you are a decent person, a compassionate friend, and someone who can make sacrifices for others. You don't have to prove yourself to anybody if you know who you are on the inside. Learn to have greater faith in yourself and to be kind to yourself. When you repeatedly question your feelings for someone and then let them into your life, the odds of you regretting that choice are quite high. The unfortunate thing about those who have been manipulated is that the majority of them admit to having reservations about the person at first. Others had so many red flags that they couldn't ignore them, but they chose to ignore them, expecting that the person would change or waiting for something else to appear. No one is flawless, and a good partnership indeed requires two excellent forgivers. However, make sure that what you are forgiving is something you can live by, and that the other person has taken responsibility for their actions, because if they haven't, they will not change. Also, quit thinking that you can repair anything in anybody. Allow individuals to change when they want to. Furthermore, if someone accuses you of something you know you did not do not accept responsibility. Change the relationship you have with these toxic people. We may desire to completely avoid individuals who are toxic to us, but this is often hard due to the nature of our connection with them. It might be a close family member, making it almost impossible to avoid meeting them, or it could be your employer making finding another job more difficult than you imagined. Furthermore, changing jobs because you have a toxic boss may not be a long-term solution, since you cannot ensure that you will not discover other toxic individuals at your new employment. So altering your conduct and eventually ending your connection with these toxic individuals is the most effective strategy for dealing with them. Always gain strength from your motivations. In most situations, just as these toxic individuals attempt to influence you so they can gain something from you, so they can gain something from them as well. It doesn't matter what it is. It might be that you need some distance from their toxic behavior, or that you need them to sign certain child support forms or anything. Always be energized by your final objective and what you want to accomplish. Otherwise, you will lose your power in their manipulation. Also, knowing that what you're doing is motivated by your desire to gain control over them, rather than their manipulative influence over you, will give you more energy to continue the struggle until its conclusion. Relate to them from a position of strong assertiveness. If you have doubts about who you are, you make it easier for these individuals to manipulate you. When you know you work hard, tell the truth, and always have good intentions, people who try to bring you down by saying otherwise won't be able to move you an inch. Then you must watch them and recognize their flaws. When you understand, you will most likely see that they continue to reflect their flaws onto you. You will be untouched by whatever impression people have of you after that. Also, don't be afraid to hold your ground. Their deceitful behavior may eventually escalate. People usually give up at this stage and allow themselves to just have their way again since they feel defeated. If you're aggressive, you'll see that their excitement is like a toddler having a tantrum. When they discover that no one is granting their desires, they tend to gather more courage before realizing that their weeping or whatever they are doing is not going to benefit them in any way. When manipulative individuals realize you are being tough on them and that their behaviors toward you aren't working, they tend to come out stronger than before to test whether you will pay heed. If you don't, they'll leave and find someone else to control. Set firm limits, and don't let anybody cross them. People usually think it's hard to please everyone, but what manipulators actually do is make you look like you can't please anyone. In this manner, they make you miserable and put you in a race to satisfy everyone. What follows is a succession of concessions, hard work, and betrayals of your gut. When you define your limits, examine them well, come to terms with them, and determine that this is the way you want to live. You won't care if someone criticizes them, and you won't feel like you have to change them just because someone else thinks they aren't good enough to live by. It's also important to set clear limits when dealing with toxic individuals. Leave no space for anybody to assume how far they should go while in gag. Being with you. Be forthright about your beliefs and make it clear that you are reluctant to compromise on your aims. Know when to assist. Manipulators can grab you every time because you have presented yourself as their go-to person every time. People with manipulative personalities love to cause trouble and then get people to feel sorry for them, care about them, and support them. You must realize that you cannot always assist. When they are in a situation that you believe is completely needless and that they willfully fabricated to get your attention, just do not pay attention. Just do not pay attention. Do not engage your emotions in their drama and remain as neutral as possible. Though it may be difficult at first since you are obliged to be empathic as a normal person, just keep reminding yourself why you are doing it. Also, bear in mind that if you continue to show up emotionally for manipulators, they will need you even more since their life drama is not going away anytime soon. It is also critical that you keep your watchdog alert. Learn to say no without feeling the need to justify yourself. If you have to say no, realize that it is full and significant even without any further words. Keep an eye on the person you're becoming as a result of your interactions with these folks. We've all heard the saying that bad company corrupts good morals. True to that, involvement with toxic individuals may leave you worse off than you imagined. You may believe that you are establishing limits, but in reality, you are erecting barriers that prevent you from enjoying life's tranquility and divinity. All you have to do is maintain ideals such as compassion, respect, and honor. When you are ready to offer such values to others, remind yourself that you deserve them as well, and you will first extend them to yourself. Also, learn to be firm with your beliefs without being obnoxious. Strength and compassion are never mutually incompatible. In fact, they are twins who grow wonder, fully in the womb of our limits. Learn to choose your battles carefully. All you need to keep in mind while interacting with these individuals is that they will never change and are unwilling to do so. With that in mind, save your efforts and avoid attempt, and to modify them. Consider them for what they are. When they create conflict in order to grab your attention, take a step back and realize that it is not your fault. It is their way of life to create conflict in order to feel important and acknowledged. Choose your stance and do not allow yourself to be swayed. Whatever their intentions may seem to be, keep in mind that it has always been about them, and they are not thinking about you at all. Identify your weaknesses once you learn to understand their behavior change strategy. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results is the ultimate kind of self-deception. Once you've figured out how to deal with toxic individuals, changing your technique is critical. Building genuine connections, growing resilience, and thickening your skin are some of the methods you should use in your dealings with them. When you recognize that toxic individuals are out to see that you are at odds with everyone, you make sure that all of your connections and relationships are strong and that you approve yourself to be beyond reproach. When all you do when you come to work, for example, is moan and go in circles, you are a prime target for manipulators. They will go to your supervisor and depict you as the least productive employee, and then stroll around the workplace persuading everyone how insignificant you are to the company. After all of the damage has been done, the manipulator will most likely come to you and tell you that others are referring to you as unproductive at work. At this point, you are likely to fall into the trap of believing that the manipulator has your best interests at heart. After all, he is the one who came to you and no one else. Allowing them some room at this moment will enable them to take charge. Most of these manipulators present themselves as if they have networks with everyone in the organization, or are everyone's favorite. Once they've established themselves as your spokesman or the reason you won't be dismissed, you're at their mercy. What you need to do is ensure that everyone recognizes your significance inside the business, and that you have important networks in place so that if someone dares to go behind your back on anything, you will have people standing by you. This method is successful in destabilizing the toxic individual, since they will no longer have a reason to attack or dominate you. Another useful method for coping with deception is to cultivate resilience. We are all heated by difficult circumstances, which are often more difficult than we anticipated. Building your ability to bounce back without relying on anybody is an excellent way to prevent manipulation. It is true that no man is an island, and we will sometimes want help from the community to get back on our feet. It is critical that you determine your circle, that is, who can listen without utilizing the information you provide against you. Do they behave similarly when they reach rock bottom? If they do, we're guessing they're a safe haven for you to vent and find peace. However, there may be instances when you will need to devise your own recovery strategy that is independent of what others think you should do or how you should proceed. For example, if you just ended a relationship with a toxic individual, engaging yourself with more useful activities such as physical exercise is preferable to walking about heaping your misery on your buddies. You will also lessen your chances of slipping into the clutches of another manipulative spouse by doing so. When you are in agony, it is extremely probable that a manipulative person will notice you and come in, promising to love you and do it for the first few days, just to leave you more damaged than before. Such conditions need resilience. Recognize that, although you are damaged and in agony, you are willing to go through every stage of healing in order to get to the other side. In a world full of manipulative individuals, you must acquire the skill of thickening your skin. A tough skin will inform you when to empathize and when to ignore. It will advise you when to ignore. It will advise you when to make a relationship compromise and when to let go. Toughness does not always imply a disregard for the qualities of empathy and humanity. Toughness, on the other hand, helps you to stick to your principles even when the odds are stacked against you. Toughness tells you that you've heard that manipulative narrative 1,000,000 times. Toughness, Ina, bless you to say a strong yet courteous no to the manipulator's approaches. Toughness enables you to set limits for yourself and define them so clearly that no one can cross them. When you recognize that manipulators, vive on dominating you and that the only way they can do so is if you let them, you can determine how much power each person in your life has and how far they can go in utilizing it. Recognize that your renovation efforts do not seem to be working. If you've been attempting to alter a manipulative person in your life for a long time, it's time to recognize that some individuals are simply content the way they are and are unwilling to change. When all you appear to be doing is abandoning your ideals and push in the limits farther, it's time to go. Change is typically launched from the inside, and no matter how hard you try, you will not be able to assist them in changing. Most toxic individuals thrive on creating drama and drawing attention for all the wrong reasons. You will exhaust yourself if you continue to devote your efforts to convincing people to live correctly. Rather than continuing to speak, the greatest tactic is to act. When you are in a relationship with a toxic person, for example, and you constantly teach them about the need of treating people with respect, they will most likely doubt you from the inside. Don't you believe you deserve to be treated well if you insist on treating others well? The only way to do this to yourself is to separate from the poisonous person and let them watch you do it first. Know where your time is going. Could it be that you keep manipulators around because you pay them much too much attention? Do you have to listen to someone who tells you a clearly fabricated narrative about them? selves or others to the finish, knowing full well that it is not true? Being focused on more important things is one technique to keep toxic individuals at bay. If they pull off a drama or try to play with your emotions, be honest about it, and don't allow their manipulation to dominate you. Make it obvious to them that you are aware of their manipulative tendencies and will not allow them to have their way with you. Conclusion. Thank you for persevering to the conclusion of book title. Let us hope it was educational and provided you with all of the skills you need to attain your object. Thieves, whatever they may be. The next stage is to take action and put every lesson you've learned about dealing with a psychopath, sociopath, or narcissist at work, in general interactions and love relationships to the test. Be advised that it may not be easy at first, but it will become easier as you gradually restore the self-confidence that you may have lost due to relentless manipulation and false charges. If you are unsure where to begin or feel you cannot implement it all on your own, it is okay to seek help from family, trusted friends, or specialists who will guide you through each healing phase. If you realize you're in a toxic relationship, don't make things worse by sticking. No matter how difficult things are at first, the greatest choice you can make for yourself is to move on and focus on improving yourself. It is critical to think that you are your own best friend and cheerleader and that you are the only one who can transform your life. Take note of what the book has taught you and use it in your regular interactions with others to guarantee that you can quickly identify a psychopath or narcissist before they get into your brain and begin influence. In you, it's worth noting that these three types don't give a hoot about what other people think or want, as long as their own needs are met. If you have to pay the price for them to attain their aims, you are imprisoned and must seek assistance or devise a strategy to break free. It is crucial to highlight that some individuals may have been in toxic relationships with psychopaths, sociopaths, and narcissists for long enough to forget who they are and what they want out of life, and in such circumstances, they feel they cannot survive without their toxic partners. They will seek acceptance from their spouses for everything and everything simply because they have been trained by their manipulative partners to do what is proper. In such a circumstance, professional assistance may be necessary. This is because such individuals need a great deal of assistance to reclaim their self-worth and self-esteem, as well as retrace their ways and construct a life free of toxic companions. They must be well prepared to begin over. Psychopaths, sociopaths, and narcissists are all around us and cannot be avoided. We can, however, learn to recognize and manage them.